Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about Hurricane Delta. It's possible to possibly get a major hurricane status again. Our National Hurricane Center is thinking it will. So we're going to be talking about that in today's video. So let's get to Hurricane Delta and where it's supposed to go. So Hurricane Delta is right now hitting Mexico. It has gone down, I think, all the way to Category 2, I'm pretty sure. Here are the categories here. I'll show in just a second. Right here is the categories. It's either Cat 2 or Cat 3. I think it's Cat 2 at the moment. Could be Cat 3 at the moment, but it's one of those ones. So it's either Cat 2 or 3. Hitting Mexico right now, and they're at least expecting it to go back down to a Cat 2 by around when it's away from Mexico, and then they expect it to go back to a Cat 3 and maybe a Cat 4, but more likely of a Cat 3 because there won't be as warmer waters right in this area here. So we're talking about that here. So let's get to what the wind history of the storm is. We're going to look at wind history. Loads. There's been tropical storm force wind and even some hurricane force winds with the storm hitting Mexico. We see Cancun or something like that, I think it's called, is around this area there. So they got hit by the storm. So yeah, let's look at the U.S. rainfall potential. We have in the dark greens 2 to 4 inches. The yellows is 4 to 6. And the oranges 6 to 10 inches of rain. And then the reds, but that's not anywhere in the U.S., but in the Gulf, 10 to 15 inches of rain. So let's look at the wind speed probabilities. We have a 90+% chance of tropical storm force winds for Louisiana. All Louisiana is in at least a 30% or at least a 20% or higher of tropical storm force winds. The whole state of Louisiana is going to get storm force winds. Trying to put the timeline. I wish I could put the timeline, but I can't do it a different one for that. But I was gonna put the timeline, but I guess not. Here's the arrival time, right there. There's the arrival time for, I think, tropical storm force winds. It's like tropical storm force wind. So Friday 8 a.m. So you have a little bit of time left until this storm's supposed to come in. Here's the probabilities. So Friday 8 a.m. is the earliest reasonable time, though, will be at least Thursday 8 p.m. you'll have till. So that's today and tomorrow, all day tomorrow until 8 p.m. at least, when these tropical storm force winds come in. But yeah, that's let's look at 50 knots winds. If we can get this loaded up, and we have near a 90% chance for Mexico being hit right now with those tropical storm 50 knots wind and hurricane force wind. Then we have a near 60 to 70% chance of tropical storm or 50 knots winds, like 58 mile per hour winds around Louisiana. And the whole state is at least in a 5% or higher, or at least most of it, maybe little areas, but the whole state mostly is in 5% or higher 50 knots winds or 58 mile per hour winds. Our hurricane force winds, we have a 3 to 40% chance of, so we still have hurricane force winds. It's going to be higher in Mexico, though. And if you haven't noticed, this track is kind of like Laura's track. If you haven't noticed, so it's kind of in a path near almost like Charles, where they did get hit earlier this season with Laura, Hurricane Laura. So we're gonna look at this map that I usually don't look at. Only use it for live streams. This is the only time I use this map. I think I mentioned that in yesterday's video too. If not, I thought it did, but see, like Charles is near the cone path. The storm. Right now the storm is at a 105 mile per hour winds. Okay, that's a category 2. Sorry, I thought it was a category. I thought it was different earlier, but 110 and around in the next few updates, 12-hour forecast. So that'll be in the next 12 hours. They're expecting that. 24 hours. They think we're 15. That's a Cat 3. Then we're 20 in 36 hours. And 48 hours. Expect this one to be 120 mile per hour windstorm in 48 hours. So you have at least 48 hours before the storm comes in. Prepare now. Do not wait till later for the storm. Now let's get to our loop of the storm. It's looking impressive, but not like impressive like an eye. We haven't really seen an eye the last 24 hours. We haven't seen an eye, but we have seen a lot of strengthening to all the way from a tropical storm to a Cat 4 yesterday. You guys remember it from 24 hours, and then now it's Cat 2, and then it's going to strengthen in the Gulf to Cat 3. Hopefully, then become Category 4 or maybe a Category 5. It's unlikely, but possible. But this is what the storm looks like. This is what the storm looks like on visible satellite. We see no eye or anything. We just see the storm hitting Mexico right now. It might be off land, but it most likely is still on land right now. So let's look at where it looks like it's heading, and it's heading in that cone path that they're expecting it to go toward, right in there. So yeah, we're continuing to talk about this probably the next few videos until the storm is no longer impacting the U.S. Here's the track of where the storm's gonna go. Every model's really agreeing on it. It's gonna head toward Louisiana and move off toward the areas up there. So that's what most models are agreeing on. Look where the strengthening path of the storm. Most models are saying it's going to get up to Cat 3 at least before hitting Louisiana. One model saying a Cat 4. We're going to have to really watch that very closely. But I really don't think it'll strengthen all the way back up to a Cat 4 or even a Cat 5. There's no model saying Cat 5 right now, so really it's unlikely. Let's look at the GFS model, where the storm's planning on going on their model. It's moving out of Mexico in the next 24 hours, starting to strengthen, as you can see on here. And it's about to hit Louisiana, and then it's hitting Louisiana, and then weakening. I want to look at the wind shear map of it, and we see there is a little bit of wind shear in the Gulf, so that, but not that much wind shear as there is in the U.S. right now. It's going to be going into some wind shear. This is when it will be unfavorable. Whenever Friday. It'll be going into those unfavorable wind shears, so I'll make it weaken just a little bit. And that would be good news. So, and see if I can get, let's see, we're going to go down, to here, Southeast US. We're going to show about hour by hour, the storm starting to come in, so we're going to just fast forward. This is today, in the next few hours. It's gonna load a little bit. So see, the storm is starting to head toward the U.S. After hitting Mexico, you can kind of see it on here. Not that much. Then there's the storm. Some of those maybe possible outer bands trying to get onto land around Thursday. Then it's getting even closer. Some of those outer bands can still be hitting the U.S. as the storm approaches on Friday, October 9th. The storm continues to approach. Then a lot of rain coming in. Flash flooding most likely. And then the storm hits land. And it's very strong. It's showing on the NAM, or at least a lot of rain showing on here on the NAM model showing. Looks like a strong storm saying on the NAM model. So, let's look at what the simulated IR loop will look like, or what they're thinking it'll look like. It'll take a minute to load. Right now it's showing that it will have an eye. This NAM model is saying that this will have an eye developing very soon, and then it starts moving toward the U.S. and it still thinks there will be an eye with the storm that develops because there hasn't been an eye the last few hours. Then whenever it gets into those weakening or those areas that it should weaken in, it's gonna lose its eye. But still, it's gonna be strong, Cat 3 possibly, or even just a Cat 2. And that'd be good news if it can go down to a Cat 2, but it'll still be a higher end Cat 2, so that means it'll be close to a Cat 3, so it'll still do kind of the same damage as Cat 3 about. Let's real quick look at this real quick. I'm gonna show this. So cold waters in the Gulf, we can see here, not much colder, but still going to be cold. The weaken the storm just a tiny bit. It's going to start going into those cold waters. That means it'll weaken probably a tiny bit, but it won't weaken until it gets closer to the United States. Because with this kind of cold right here in this area, won't be that much. That won't affect the storm that much. Near Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, that cold ocean, that could weaken the storm, but it won't weaken it that much either, though. It will weaken it a little bit, a little more than the one where when it heads off. It will do a little more weakening in that area, especially with that shear. So we could see possibly weakening storm whenever it gets closer to the U.S. So we might see an eye, and then we'll probably see it go away when it gets closer. Yes, but thank you though, guys, for watching today's video. I want to give you an update. It was a 13-minute video.